Plus, the Art Forms Gallery hosts its final workshop for the month with artist Daria Claiborne.
Violent death of Tyree Nichols has revived the debate over police reform across the nation. I'm Steve Harrigan in Memphis. That story ahead.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Cale Chapman. Chiefs fans across the 4 states got ready for today's big game. KOAM's Yana Atala talked with some fans about their game day traditions in Pittsburgh.
Chatters in Pittsburgh gathered some residents to support their favorite team, the Chiefs.
We used to be a lot bigger in our bar side, and now it's just more about, just a smaller group, that we can enjoy it more, our team can enjoy it, and it's not as crazy.
This is a place for families to come and enjoy game days.
We generally all get together on our Chiefs days, and we come to Chatters, and Bria usually joins us as a family. So it's a family tradition. There's a lot of us here at the table, and we just, love coming here. This is probably the best place to come.
Matching jerseys bring good luck.
Since I was born, they put me in a Chiefs jersey. So, 21 years, I would say for me, or longer.
Yes, since I'm from Kansas, so yeah.
St. Pepper comes from a long family of people who play football. He says football is huge for him.
After each touchdown, we do what the cheerleaders do for our old high school team. We do push-ups, and then at the very end, whoever's team loses, we have to wrestle. It's just a huge fun thing that we like to do.
He enjoys the atmosphere in the restaurant with big TVs and bar.
Everyone just coming together to watch one thing. It's awesome.
Inayati is a long-time season ticket holder. He says when he graduated from Pittsburgh State University in '86, the first thing he did was buying season tickets.
5 AFC championships is amazing, right? But at the same time, we don't want to be like the Buffalo Bills where you make it to Super Bowl 4 times and you don't win. So it's kind of like we've made it once, we're hoping for a little bit more, but at the same time, for the ones that have been around for a while, this is very special.
In Pittsburgh, Yana Haudala, KOAM News.
Well, it looked like those superstitions worked out because just now, the Chiefs look like they're going to come out on top of this AFC Championship game. The Albers Marines 17th Annual Hunting and Fishing Show wrapped up today at the Pittsburgh Memorial Auditorium. The indoor exhibition included boats, ATVs, and vendor booths. Booths offered sporting gear, crafts, and food. Seminars featured guest speakers, and they were held for both hunters and fishermen. The show also held a kids casting contest on Saturday.
This event is a very important event. It's our 17th annual fishing and hunting show. We've had a ton of people come through. It's a new way for people to get out and see the new product, the new boats, anything from taxidermy to side-by-sides, all kinds of good stuff that's out here.
The show was free to the public. The Art Forms Gallery in Pittsburgh hosted their final workshop of the month today with artist Daria Claiborne. Workshop participants were able to design their own apron with the Zimbibi batik technique. The only thing artists needed to bring was a hairdryer.
I took a class on this batik technique on painting on fabric, and it's something fun to do, and I'm always looking for different areas to explore, and so chose batik.
For more information on next month's art workshops, you can check out Art Forms Gallery's website, artforms-gallery.com. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us now for a first look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Cale. Boy, winter came back with a vengeance today with cold temperatures and blustery northwesterly winds. Now we have winter weather advisories in effect. Down in Oklahoma, that effect goes until 6 a.m. In Missouri, it goes until 9 a.m. And then northwestern Arkansas, they're going to be under that winter weather advisory until tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. So winter has definitely come back. In fact, you can look over the last 36 hours. We were up in the lower 60s yesterday, and then we've been going on this downward slide ever since, down into the 20s, and we're still in the 20s, and we're expected to see temperatures dropping down into the teens in many locations tonight. And then when you factor in the wind, it feels a lot worse out there with wind chills in the single digits and even below zero. Very cold night ahead, and then winter mix on Monday. That continues into Tuesday, so we're going to call it a mixed up week, and we'll have all the details in your forecast coming up in just a little bit.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he's looking forward to having a discussion with President Biden about lifting the debt ceiling. The California Republican says the action would have to be taken in what he's calling a reasonable and responsible way. The two leaders are scheduled to sit down together at the White House on Wednesday. It will be their first face-to-face meeting at the executive mansion since McCarthy was elected Speaker earlier this month. McCarthy has said he wants to address spending cuts. There's been a big increase in the number of people who are entering the country illegally at its northern border. That's according to Border Patrol agents in New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, the states that make up the Border Patrol's eastern Swanton sector. The Customs and Border Protection Agency says its agents apprehended more people illegally entering the U.S. from Canada in the past 3 months than in the previous 2 years combined. The agency says the people who crossed the border had flown to Canada from at least 19 countries to make an attempt to get into the United States. 2 days after the release of body cam video showing the violent arrest of Tyre Nichols in Memphis, much of the nation is now debating the need for police reform. Fox News senior correspondent Steve Harrigan has more from Memphis.
I just don't think this is being taken seriously because this is a continuous problem.
Demonstrators, lawmakers.
We need a national conversation about policing in a responsible, constitutional, and humane way.
When we're dealing with abusive policing, it's not just about racism.
And civil rights activists all calling for police reform, following the release of body cam footage showing the violent arrest of 29-year-old Tyre Nichols by 5 Memphis police officers. The video shows the officers restraining, tasing, and pepper spraying Nichols, who died 3 days after the encounter.
This is a low point, I think, for anyone who thought that changing the complexion of policing would change the culture of it.
While all 5 officers were fired and are now facing charges in Nichols' death, the incident has revived the conversation around the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act.
It had many elements in it that are important, banning chokeholds, dealing with no warrant searches, dealing with accreditation of police departments. It's necessary that we do all these things.
The bill passed in the House in 2021, but never made it in the Senate. Now some believe it could get bipartisan support.
I look forward to seeing all the facts, but it's a very, very disturbing videos, and something has to be done. Congress certainly has a role to play in this.
Mr. Gonzalez, if he's interested, we'd love to work with him.
President Biden says he promised Nichols' mother he would also push for the bill. All this comes as the Nichols family prepares for Tyre's funeral Wednesday. In Memphis, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Neil Magnuson served in the U.S. Army from 1967 to 1968 and again in 1971 from 1972. The Joplin native served in Vietnam as part of the 170th Explosive Ordnance Detachment and the 287th Explosive Ordnance Detachment. Magnuson was awarded 2 Bronze Star medals, 2 Army Commendation medals, 6 Good Conduct medals, and a Master EOD badge. To Master Sergeant Neil Magnuson, we thank you, our four-state hero. Coming up, why a new study says that people living in rural areas are at higher risk for heart disease. A new study finds Americans living in rural areas might have higher risks of heart failure. Researchers from the U.S. National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute studied the data from more than 2,700 people in 12 states. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Arkansas were some of the places researchers analyzed. They found that adults who live in rural areas of the country had 19% higher chances of developing heart failure compared to those who didn't live in those areas. The risks were even higher among men, where they had a 34% higher chance of developing the disease. The CDC is making it easier to find a free COVID-19 testing site located near you. The agency launched the COVID-19 Testing Locator website this week. It is part of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's increasing community access to testing program. There is no charge for testing at the sites, and it is intended for those who are experiencing symptoms or those who have been exposed to the virus. Results are usually provided within 24 to 48 hours. That so-called flush feeling you get from a few alcoholic drinks may be a sign that your health is threatened. A new study from Stanford University School of Medicine says that flush feeling in your face and ears could also be tied to an inherited genetic condition. It could indicate a gene variant that makes you deficient in an enzyme that helps metabolize alcohol. The study finds alcohol flush could indicate possible life-threatening ailments, such as an inflammatory response that restricts blood flow and result in a coronary artery disease. Meteorologist Sam Lane is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, we'll take a look at the U.S. Census Bureau's new report that says southern states are rising in U.S. population.
Winter made a huge comeback today with temperatures in the 20s with wind chills way down in the single digits, even below zero. And it looks like it's going to stick around for a while. Let's take a look outside right now in Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see a little bit of cloudiness on there and a little bit of fog trying to develop. And that's part of what we're expecting, this drizzle type of effect tonight. And of course, it will instantly freeze on metal surfaces and some roadway surfaces. So if you're going to be traveling tonight, just be a little bit careful. You can see on our tower cam the foggy appearance, and that's that drizzle starting to develop. The high today was actually back at midnight. The afternoon high was only 22. The low was 20, so we had a very short thermometer for most of the day. 46 are the normals and 25. The normal low, of course, weren't anywhere close to those records of 73 and -4. Now, over the last month, about half the month, well, actually 3 weeks of the month, was above normal on temperatures for the highs, and below normal, we've had 7 so far, but I think tomorrow and Tuesday are also going to be below normal, so we'll have about 9 days below normal for January, but overall, we're going to be slightly above normal. Winter weather advisories are in effect for Missouri until 9 a.m. tomorrow. This advisory in Oklahoma goes until 6 a.m., but the one in northwest Arkansas goes all the way until tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., and that's because we expect the best chance of any accumulating winter precipitation will be down in northwestern Arkansas. Wider view shows one wave moving by right now, but we're going to get a little bit of a break. But notice out here in California, this little spin near San Francisco, that is going to dive to the south and east, and that's going to spit pieces of energy towards us over the next several days, riding up and over this cold air mass. You can see it's very cold. Temperatures in the 20s right now with north winds, and when you factor in the wind, it's pretty cold out there. In fact, we're about 25 to 30 degrees colder now than we were 24 hours ago, so it was a dramatic change across our area. And if we take a look at what it feels like it's in the single digits. 9 in Commerce, 8 in Webb City and Carthage, and then when we look overnight, we're going to see these wind chills drop even more down into or close to zero in many locations, below zero in Iola and Chanute. And then in the afternoon tomorrow, you'd think we'd get a little bit of relief. Nope. Still going to feel like it's in the single digits across our area, so very, very cold indeed. Currently in Joplin, we're sitting at 20 degrees, northeast wind at 12. Feels like 8 degrees. The dew point is 18. Precipitation chances are going to be low, but any precipitation we get will be in the form of that winter mix. In fact, here's your forecast. Winds tonight out of the north with lows in the teens. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, bands of precipitation forming mainly down to the south with highs, if you want to call them highs, in the 20s. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, we'll see lows once again in the teens, and then highs again will be only in the 20s with north winds on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we'll see lows in the 20s across our area with easterly winds, and then yet another band of precipitation. Precipitation amounts again are going to be light and mainly down towards the south. That's where the best chance of accumulation is going to be. Over the next 7 days, we do have a warm up, but we're going to have to wait several days before it gets here. And on Thursday for Groundhog Day, hopefully he will not see a shadow here, which means spring will arrive early, and I think everyone's pulling for that.
Yeah, I mean, after this week, I'm going to be pulling hard for that.
Absolutely.
All righty, well, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Coming up, why Democrat-led states are planning to tax its most wealthy residents. Democrat-led states are banding together to try and get more money out of their wealthiest inhabitants. Fox Business's reporter Linda Hu reports now.
Proposals for a wealth tax are coming from 8 states in coordination with each other. The goal, the state lawmakers say, is to make sure the wealthy people have nowhere to hide. The measures vary from state to state, but generally they aim to take a cut from large asset holdings every year, regardless of whether the asset grew in value. Lawmakers in California want to tax all forms of personal property or wealth. This would include not just real estate, but also business interests, unrealized gains, and even artwork. The California bill would also require taxpayers to pay these taxes even if they move out of state. In Illinois, taxpayers would have to recognize gains on the value of their assets as income, even if they haven't sold the asset. And New York's proposal increases state capital gains taxes so much that, according to the Wall Street Journal, the government would take half of every dollar in investment earnings.
This would be entirely new in the United States, and it's pretty novel worldwide. There have been countries that have wealth taxes, but most of them have repealed them.
Now, critics say these new tax schemes will encourage the wealthy to run away to states like Florida and Texas, but it seems like lawmakers proposing these reforms know that. That's why we have California's attempt to tax people even if they leave. Back to you.
The great American population shift is to the south, according to the nation's key people data agency. The Census Bureau says U.S. population growth in the South has gained over other U.S. regions. The Bureau says the South outgrew other areas by 1.3 million people. Births there outpaced deaths and migration patterns. 6 of the 10 leading growth states were in the South, led by Texas, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Some Kia and Hyundai owners will have to find another good neighbor because State Farm won't be there. Along with Progressive, the insurer is not writing new policies on certain Kia and Hyundai vehicles in some markets. The problem is some models of the vehicles are so easy to steal. Affected vehicles include those manufactured between 2015 and 2019 that don't have immobilizers that prevent the vehicle from starting if its key is not present. Up next, we'll take a look at a winter carnival that took place in Minnesota amidst the bitter temperatures. Minnesota's much anticipated winter carnival is here, and 2 artists from sunny Nevada braved their way to St. Paul to create a one-of-a-kind ice sculpture. John Lauritsen has the details of how they managed to continue working despite the below-zero temperatures.
It's going to be cold. It's going to get cold, so we're glad we're out here today while we can be.
The cold is part of what makes the winter carnival the winter carnival. After all, it's January. So when visitors come here, they're prepared.
Snow pants on, the whole galore. Hot cocoa, can't forget the hot cocoa, layered up.
But that doesn't make working with ice any easier.
I think when I left it was 55 and sunny, so -5 is a little bit different, but that's all right.
Austin Greenleaf lives in Las Vegas but travels to St. Paul every year to do an ice sculpture. This year, he and his friend Kevin Petrosky are creating the Egyptian god Anubis.
You just got to keep moving. You stand around too long, you'll start getting a little cold, but no, we're used to it. There's plenty to do.
Kevin and Austin are working with 10 blocks of ice weighing about 3,000 pounds. They'll have ice and water flying everywhere, so they have their own strategies for keeping warm. So far, the weather has been great. But for this team, the key is keeping their hands in good shape.
If you can keep your hands dry, that's the most important part, especially like we have water and slush going all over the place. So if your hands get wet, then you're kind of done.
That's even more important when temperatures dip below 0 overnight. Austin and Kevin say they've sculpted in colder conditions, but no matter how frigid it gets, they wouldn't miss the winter carnival.
It's just a great group of people. You know, you break a chisel, someone hands you another one.
We've got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and more coming your way. Coming up, the man accused of attacking Paul Pelosi apologizes for the attack, but not for the reasons you may think. A shocking new development on the man accused of attacking former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband during a home invasion last year. Police yesterday released body camera footage from the October incident showing the suspect holding a hammer. Hours after the video's release, that suspect called our Fox affiliate in Oakland with a chilling apology, not going any further during the attack. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman is live in Los Angeles.
We want to warn you, the surveillance and police body camera video you're about to see is disturbing and graphic. The lone suspect in this case, David DePape, has been described as a homeless man with a history of mental illness and drug abuse. He called into a Fox affiliate newsroom in Oakland Friday night from jail and made some bizarre statements. Here is the audio from that call.
What is having an important message for everyone in America? You're welcome. So I got their names and addresses so I could pay them a little visit and have a heart-to-heart chat about their bad behavior. I want to apologize to everyone. I messed up. What I did was really bad. I'm so sorry I didn't get more of them.
The surveillance video of the October 28th incident appears to show DePape breaking into the back of Pelosi's San Francisco home. Mr. Pelosi was able to call 911. He sounded hesitant to get off of the phone with the operator. Take a listen.
He thinks everything's good. I've got a problem, but he thinks everything's good.
Okay. Call us back if you change your mind.
No. This gentleman just came into the house, and he wants to wait here for my wife to come home.
Authorities say DePape fractured Paul Pelosi's skull by swinging a hammer into his head after officers arrived at his home. Police body camera footage shows the attack. Again, we want to warn you, this video is graphic.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on right
I'm
now?
not getting any answer on calls.
Bro.
It's just very disturbing video there. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi said she does not want to see this footage.
As you know, today there was a release of some information. I have not heard the 911 call. I have not heard the confession. I have not seen the break-in, and I have absolutely no intention of seeing the deadly assault on my husband's life.
DePape now faces half a dozen state felonies in addition to federal charges. Combined, they could send him to prison for life. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Police in Western Massachusetts are investigating a deadly shooting that happened at a shopping mall yesterday. Investigators say someone opened fire inside Holyoke Mall and an innocent bystander was killed. Police say moments before the shooting there was a confrontation between two people who knew each other. The shooter was taken into custody. More dramatic testimony expected in the double murder trial of former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh. The once prominent lawyer is accused of murdering his wife Maggie and his son Paul in June of 2021, and he will be back in court tomorrow morning with the defense cross-examination. Fox senior correspondent Laura Ingle is live with more on the trial so far and what we can expect this week.
Most of what we learned in the first week of testimony was about the evidence in this case, who collected it, where it was sent, and how it was processed. Alex Murdaugh, who has been charged with the brutal shooting deaths of his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul on the family's hunting estate in South Carolina, told arriving officers he believed that the murders could be connected to a deadly boating accident which his son Paul was involved in, telling officers his son had received many threats after a friend of his was killed in that crash. And Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were both shot at close range, leaving a bloody crime scene behind. When Alex Murdaugh was questioned by law enforcement that night, officers noticed that there was no visible blood on his hands, arms, and white T-shirt, even though he told investigators that he had touched their bodies to check them. A detective told jurors last week about the victims' devastating injuries.
And then the first body that I approached was the deceased male. He was laying face down at an angle with his feet inside the plane of the door. There was obvious trauma to the top of his head. He was covered with a sheet, but I could still see the top of his head from underneath the sheet. Obvious trauma.
Prosecutors have suggested Murdaugh killed his wife and son to distract attention away from his ongoing legal and financial problems to gain sympathy and slow down the attention of the 98 criminal charges against him. Murdaugh's surviving son, Buster, has been present at the courthouse during testimony and is expected to be called as a witness. When asked by the Daily Mail in November if he would be supporting his father, he answered he doesn't want to see it written anywhere that he's supporting his father. Monday's session will begin with the cross-examination of one of the investigators. Alex Murdaugh has pled not guilty. He faces 30 years to life if convicted. In New York, Laura Ingle, Fox News.
Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us now.
All right, thank you very much. It's been extremely cold today with Arctic air mass moving into place. We are under winter weather advisory here in Missouri until 9 a.m., 6 a.m. for Oklahoma, and in northwest Arkansas until 6 p.m. This is mainly due to freezing drizzle and light freezing rain moving through the area tonight. Temperatures over the last 36 hours, we went from a high of lower 60s yesterday all the way down into the 20s today, and it basically stayed there all afternoon and evening long. And the winds have not been helpful either. They've been out of the north at around 20 miles per hour. Now we're looking at winds generally around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And looking down the lane, the cold weather is going to stay with us through the night, very cold night, a winter mix tomorrow, including into Tuesday. So we're going to call it a mixed up week. And I'll have all the details in your extended forecast coming up in just a little bit.
New and disturbing charges against one of the men accused of sexually assaulting LSU student Maddie Brooks, who is set to be laid to rest this week. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the story.
3 of the 4 males charged in the rape of Madison Brooks had bonded out of prison, but that was short-lived for 18-year-old Kayvon Washington, who was arrested again the very next day. According to documents obtained by the New Orleans Advocate, Washington faces a separate rape charge stemming from an attack on a 12-year-old girl reported back in 2020. He would have been 15 at the time. It was only after Washington was arrested in the high-profile Brooks case did a witness to the 2020 assault come forward. Washington and an unnamed 17-year-old have been charged with the third-degree rape of Brooks, a 19-year-old LSU sophomore who died days later. 2 other men, 27-year-old Everett Lee and 18-year-old Kason Carver, have been charged for being present but not taking part. Police say Washington and the 17-year-old had raped a heavily intoxicated Brooks in the back of a vehicle before the 4 dropped her off at a random location. She was then fatally struck by a separate car. An attorney representing the defendant says the sex was consensual.
Listen, this is a tragedy. Definitely not a crime. Can you tell that she was intoxicated? Yes. To the point under the law that you say you're in a drunken stupor, to the point that you cannot lawfully give consent or answer questions? Absolutely, that was not the case.
Police, of course, dispute that. No charges were filed against the driver who hit Brooks. Her sorority sisters say she died a hero, donating her kidneys and heart. Madison Brooks will be laid to rest on Friday. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us next for another look at the forecast. Plus, Netflix released their most streamed series numbers from 2022. We'll take a look.
Winter is back, and it arrived just on time with that Arctic front last night, and it's been cold all afternoon, including right now in Seneca, Missouri at the Indigo Sky Casino Resort. Pretty cold night out there with north winds and temperatures in the 20s. In fact, this afternoon, we made it up only to 22 degrees. The high was way back at midnight at 42, 20 the low. The records, of course, 73 and -4, and a trace of precipitation. Now, we do have a winter weather advisory out until the morning, 9 a.m. for Missouri, 6 a.m. for Oklahoma, and 6 p.m. for northwest Arkansas. And that's because we're expecting light freezing drizzle and rain across the area. So please be careful if you're out traveling. Big storm system moving into Northern California. That's going to be diving to the south and east and will be spitting pieces of energy towards us over the next several days. And with all this cold air in place, that's why we're concerned about the winter mix chances of precipitation. Temperatures right now are in the 20s, pretty much wall to wall, but when you factor in the wind, it's much colder. 8 in Iola, 9 in Yates Center, 9 in Commerce, so single digits. And if we go through time, we're not expecting really a lot of change. In fact, we're going to get colder tonight, and by tomorrow morning, some places will feel like it's -2 in Yates Center, -1 in Chanute, single digits elsewhere, and then during the afternoon, a slight improvement. It will still feel like it's in the single digits out there. Maybe it'll feel like 11 in Bella Vista and in Cassville for the warm spots. Temperature right now in Joplin, it's sitting at 20, northeast wind at 12, feels like 8, dew point of 18, and the pressure is currently rising. Rain chances are not that great, but any precipitation that falls is going to be in the form of frozen precipitation, and it doesn't take much glazing to create some travel problems, and that's why the winter weather advisory is in effect. Lows tonight are going to be in the teens with north winds, and then as we go through the day tomorrow, precipitation will start to develop to the south mainly, waves of precipitation moving from Oklahoma to northwest Arkansas. And by tomorrow afternoon, highs will be in the 20s. And then as we go into the overnight hours and into Tuesday morning, we'll see lows once again in the teens across our area. Then on Tuesday afternoon, I think a better chance of precipitation moves up and north of I-44. But again, the best chance of accumulation is going to be down in northwest Arkansas with highs in the 20s. Then as we go into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, lows in the 20s and teens across our area. Precipitation amounts, again, higher amounts along and south of I-44. And we'll have to watch this pretty closely in case those accumulations start to increase. Over the next 7 days, winter precip all the way up until Thursday morning, which of course is Groundhog Day, and I think he is not going to see a shadow because we're going to see lots of clouds on Thursday morning. But then, as we head towards the weekend, conditions improve and we start getting into the 50s, and then another chance of rain next Tuesday and Wednesday. So spring is hopefully right around the corner.
Yeah, I hope so. It looks like it might be slippery. Do I need any salt?
Might need a little bit.
Right.
We'll have to watch it closely, but the roads are going to be tricky.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Sam. Coming up, how a police officer in Atlanta saves a man after he steals a police patrol car. Police in Atlanta wind up saving the life of a man who stole a police vehicle. It happened during a traffic stop early yesterday morning. The suspect was not involved in that stop. Fox's Rob Dorenzo has a story, including the body camera video.
It's not safe out here driving with one light or anything.
Yo, back up! Get out of the car! Here! 1410, someone just got in my patrol car.
The officer immediately got on his radio, gave the lookout the direction of travel.
Dramatic body camera video shows the Atlanta police car speed off on Greenbrier Parkway in southwest Atlanta just after 2 a.m. Saturday.
So we have eyes on the stolen patrol vehicle and ours.
Moments later, APD's helicopter spotted it and started tracking it as the suspect went on a joyride.
We had an air unit that was up in the air, was able to locate the vehicle pretty quickly.
The suspect then drives the car onto the train tracks off McDonough Boulevard before it flipped.
41 hard in the train tracks. University of McDonough, roll over, 41 roll over.
Officers moved in thinking the ordeal was over. Then they saw a freight train barreling towards the cruiser with the suspect still entrapped inside.
And they just immediately went into that rescue mode where they've got to get this guy out of the car and get him away from that train.
Right after they got him out, the moment of impact. The locomotive slammed into the side of the overturned cop car.
Radio train struck the patrol car.
Police say 29-year-old Michael Parker was behind the wheel. He is now at the Fulton County Jail, facing a lot of charges.
We're very proud of the actions of the officers. This could have gone a number of different ways. It could have ended with this person being severely injured by this train. It didn't look like he was going to be able to get out on his own.
They just saved that man's life, for sure.
A driver was pulled from a flaming car on Las Vegas Boulevard on January 27th, police said. Footage published by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police shows an officer and a bystander rescuing the driver. Other footage posted to Reddit shows several bystanders approaching the car before the officer arrives on scene. The driver and officer were both taken to the hospital, police said. Up next, we'll get a preview of up-and-coming movies and television series in this week's Hollywood Nation. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul reprise their iconic roles. Zachary Levi takes on a trio of ancient gods and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the latest from Hollywood Nation.
We wanted to do something together.
The Roy family returns, Levi takes flight, and Walter White and Jesse Pinkman reunite in the Hollywood Nation.
You're gonna flood it. I'm not gonna flood it.
TV's favorite meth cooks are back together again. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul reprise their iconic Breaking Bad characters for a new Super Bowl commercial, promoting the snack brand Popcorners. The clip features the duo back in their RV in the Albuquerque desert.
You are very menacing.
Zachary Levi faces off with demigod supervillains in today's first looks. Warner Brothers dropped a new trailer for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The preview introduces Oscar winner Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and Rachel Zegler as the daughters of Atlas, who battle Levi's teenager-turned-superhero Billy Batson and his friends for their superpowers. The sequel takes flight in theaters March 17th.
Oh, we gotta show mom. No.
Netflix's family adventure dramedy We Have a Ghost features David Harbour playing a spirit named Ernest, whose haunting of a family turns them into social media stars. But they get more than they bargained for when the CIA gets involved. Anthony Mackie, Jennifer Coolidge, and Tig Notaro are among the star-studded cast. The film premieres February 24th.
You cannot win. Your dad will wash you away.
And the Roy family's drama will continue this spring. HBO announced the 4th season of the Emmy-winning series Succession will premiere March 26th. In addition, the network shared a trailer teasing the aftermath of patriarch Logan Roy's betrayal of his kids in last season's finale.
If we're good, we're good.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Stranger Things was at the top of the list for TV lovers in 2022. The popular Netflix original series was the most streamed program last year, with viewers turning in for a combined 52 billion minutes. The show tells supernatural tales of small-town kids in the 1980s. NCIS ranked number 2 with 38.1 billion minutes. And up next, teachers in Missouri find a new way to get students motivated and active. Educators in Missouri are using the Kansas City Chiefs' success on the field as a way to motivate kids. Matt Evans reports.
Welcome to the
These are students at Santa Fe Trail Elementary School performing Red Kingdom by Tech 9 as part of their PE class. It's called Drum Fit, and it's a great cardio exercise, and the kids hardly even know it because they're having so much fun. For the kids and the teachers at this school, they say incorporating the Chiefs into their lesson plans just makes the day a lot more fun.
I think Chiefs is going to win the championship, and school is the best.
So when I have them, I try to engage them as much as possible, get them to soak in as much information as possible. So if they're more eager to learn it, they're going to absorb it so much better. And if the Chiefs are what does it, then heck yeah, I'm all for it.
Like the ones that were really hard too, like we'd have to like focus.
Well, that's pretty cool. I wish we did that when I was in gym class.
I know. Where were we when that was,
I was climbing a rope.
All right, let's take a look at the forecast. We're expecting winter mix as we go through the day tomorrow with a high of only 25, and then the cold weather stays with us through most of the week. And good news is on Thursday, it doesn't look like the groundhog is going to see a shadow here, which means spring comes early. So we'll have to wait and see if that works out. But right after he arrives, temperatures do get to be spring-like towards next weekend. So who knows? Maybe he'll be right this year.
Maybe he will. Hopefully so. All right, well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a bear in Colorado taking selfies on a wildlife camera. We'll see you back here next time. Thanks for making us a part of your night.